Well, joining me now is Avi Hyman, a spokesperson for the Israeli government. Good to talk to you this morning, Mr. Hyman. We've just heard there from the Australian leader that he wants full accountability. What is actually happening with his investigation into what happened on this aid convoy in Gaza this morning?
So good morning. Thank you very much for having me on. I can tell you, I can just echo the words of the IDF spokesman, who made it quite clear that this is a tragic event. And the IDF is going to investigate it thoroughly. There'll be a third-party investigation, professional investigation. I mean, we know that the World Central Kitchen has done some incredible work on both sides of the conflict, and we know that sadly, aid workers in war zones and war scenarios like this are often the unsung heroes. They were just trying to get food to people that desperately need it, and we're doing our utmost to get food to those people while avoiding Hamas, who are stealing it and taking it to their people.
And yet it appears that they were bombed by the IDF. If this investigation does show that the IDF were responsible, what should the repercussions be, do you think?
Well, the IDF is a professional citizens' army. It's an army that adheres 100% to international law. And that's why we came out straight away, hand on heart, and said, we're going to investigate. We want to understand exactly what happened so that, things like this don't happen again if it was in fact us. I can't really speak directly to the event itself, but it is under investigation.
How long do you think this investigation will take? Because clearly the families want answers.
Oh, I mean, 100%. My heart is with the families who are affected. I myself have lost people in this conflict too, and war is hell. And like I said, these are often the unsung heroes that go beyond the conflict lines to try and help the civilians, just as the IDF does, just as Israel does, in a way that no other army has done in history. We're fighting a very, very difficult war in a situation where terrorists have embedded themselves among civilians, underneath civilians. They've created a terror tunnel network 2 times the size of the London Underground. And we're doing our very utmost to go after the terrorists and to avoid any civilian casualties. Sadly, that is not what Hamas is doing. They would like maximum civilian casualties on all sides.
World Food Kitchen has now suspended its operations in Gaza. They were one of the few organisations who were actually getting the aid delivered to people living there. How concerned are you now about the threat of starvation to civilians in Gaza?
I think that talk of imminent famine and starvation is something that we've heard about, sadly, from the beginning of the war. I think the most recent reports...
We've seen pictures, haven't we? We've seen images that have come out of Gaza, and they're horrific.
Right. I mean, any images that you see that are coming out of Gaza have to get the rubber stamp from Hamas, sadly.
No, we have journalists inside Gaza.
Right, and I would question any images that are coming out of Gaza. What I will say...
Well, we do question all the images that we broadcast on Sky News.
I mean, if you'd let me speak, I'll try to answer the question. Can I speak?
Well, you're trying to deny that the images that we're broadcasting, and I'm just being clear about the facts.
I'm being clear about the fact that Hamas is still very much in control of many areas in Gaza. I don't know, I can't speak about pictures that I'm not seeing now. But what I can tell you is that there's been a number of reports, written reports, coming out from various organizations suggesting that there's imminent famine and that type of thing. We do not believe that to be the case. This is based on old, out-of-date information. These are based on Hamas figures, Hamas health ministry figures. Hamas not long ago was killing babies, was killing children in front of their parents, parents in front of their children, burning whole families alive. So we take anything that comes out of Hamas-run Gaza with a spoon of salt, not just a pinch of salt.
Let's turn to the situation in the south of Gaza, to Rafah. There are some 1.2 million people crammed into that area. It's an area that the Israeli government recommended Palestinian civilians in Gaza to go to. Do you think it is inevitable that the IDF is going to go into that part of the Gaza Strip?
Absolutely. To date, we've taken out close to 19 of the 24 Hamas army brigades. They're not just a terrorist organization, they're a terror army. And there's one still currently in play in central and northern Gaza. And then there's the last 4 in Rafah. Now, if we don't go after Rafah, we'll lose the war. We understand that. We've said that from the beginning. I think that our allies understand that, the Americans understand that we need to go after Hamas. Our fight is with Hamas, not the people of Gaza. So we'll do what we did in Rafah We'll do what we did in north and central Gaza, which is we'll get the civilians out of harm's way, and we'll go after Hamas and we'll defeat Hamas for the sake of the children of Gaza and for the sake of the children of Israel.
How are you going to do that? How are you going to get those 1.3 million people out of the way and avoid it becoming a bloodbath?
Well, again, in the same way that we did it in the north and in central Gaza throughout the war. I mean, at the beginning of the war, we were told, don't go into Gaza. It'll be a bloodbath. We were told, don't go into the hospitals that have become terror bases where terrorists have embedded themselves in the maternity ward and ER. We were told not to go into the tunnels. Well, we've done all of those things. We've done them successfully. And according to British and American military experts, we've done far more than any other army in the history of modern warfare to avoid civilian casualties, and that's what we'll continue to do. You'll find that
but where at the beginning you told people to move south, and they did move south, and you've then now gone into the north and into central Gaza, and large parts of it have been entirely levelled. Where do the people who are now in the south now go to? Because you're not suggesting, presumably, that they go back to the north or the centre of Gaza. Where could they go?
Well, when that becomes a reality, when the orders are given to move ahead with that mission, we will move the civilians into safer areas that will set up to the north of Rafah. I mean, like I said, we've done it before successfully. We were told we couldn't do it then, and we did it, and we'll do it again.
Let's move to the situation in Damascus overnight. You just said to me a short while ago that Israel adheres to international law. The UN says what happened in Damascus last night, an attack on an Iranian diplomatic mission, is a flagrant breach of international law. Were Israel behind what happened last night?
I can't speak directly to the strike. What I can tell you is that Iran has been behind all of the escalation, the war that we're seeing. They're pulling the strings from the tyrants of Tehran, are pulling the strings with their proxies in Gaza, in Lebanon, on our northern border, in Syria, on our northern border, in Iraq, in Yemen. Just yesterday, Iranian drone came over all the way from Iraq and hit a target. Thankfully, there was no casualties, but hit an Israeli target. So Iran is doing their utmost to go after us through their proxies. I can tell you definitively that the building that was hit was not a consulate. It was not a consulate. It was not an embassy. It was not a diplomatic mission. And I dare say that the Iranian individuals in that building were likely not there to distribute Easter eggs.
One final thought for you on Benjamin Netanyahu. We saw huge protests outside the Knesset yesterday. How long do you think he can hold on to power for?
I think the Prime Minister has widespread support across the country. He came in with wide support. The people of Israel are united in a way that they maybe have never been behind our war aims, which is to destroy Hamas, to bring home the 134 hostages, and to ensure that Gaza doesn't become a threat to us. We see widespread support. Of course, we're a democracy, and many people have many ideas on many things, and that's great. And there can be protests for and against every day. But the Prime Minister and the government, the people stand with the government, and we will continue on with our mission to destroy Hamas, bring home the hostages.
Avi Hyman, Israeli government spokesman, we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you.